Hey, stuffers! If you're looking for a video that confirms your deepest, darkest belief that everything cool is actually a government mind control experiment, you've come to the right place. Alex here, and welcome back to Stuff with Alex. We are not starting with ancient history tonight, stuffers. We are starting with closure. The biggest unsolved mystery in the modern era of gaming, the Mount Chiliad Mystery in Grand Theft Auto V, the puzzle that consumed tens of thousands of man-hours, decades of detective work, and enough red string to choke a woolly mammoth, is, according to the latest exhaustive community research, solved. We are talking about the jetpack, the UFO, the cracked egg, the whole shebang. For over 12 years, we thought it was a map to a hidden weapon, a magical teleportation device, or maybe just a hidden stash of Rockstar's laundry money. But the shocking truth that emerged recently is that the Chiliad mural wasn't a roadmap to a secret weapon at all. It was a self-referential riddle about the game's 100% completion state and the symbolic journey of Michael, Trevor, and Franklin. It's meta, it's philosophical, and frankly, it's deeply disappointing if you're still waiting for that jetpack. The ultimate reward wasn't a piece of gear, it was the narrative understanding that you finished the game. That, stuffers, is the true end of the quest. It's the gaming equivalent of finding a treasure chest that contains a certificate of participation. We spent a decade proving the cake was a lie. We're going to dive into the full breakdown of this breakthrough in the final chapter, but for now, hold that thought, because we need to understand the foundations of digital deception that led us to obsess over a mountain mural for 12 straight years. If you want to understand video game myths, you have to go back to the source. 1981, Portland, Oregon, the absolute height of the arcade boom. This is where the tale of Polybius begins. The story goes that this game, an abstract and fast-paced title, appeared suddenly in local arcades. It was incredibly addictive, but also terrifyingly psychoactive. Children who played it suffered from a laundry list of debilitating symptoms: amnesia, epileptic seizures, night terrors, and vivid hallucinations. The cabinet itself was supposedly so alluring that players returned repeatedly until they went insane, vanished, or just plain died. The myth is anchored by its supposed publisher, Chiliad Solution, Inc. For those of you who don't speak German, that roughly translates to sense delete or sensory deprivation, because nothing screams safe, fun family entertainment like a game published by a company whose name sounds like a German death metal band auditioning for a spot on a CIA Black Ops project. The implication, from the very start, was that this was not a game built for fun. It was a targeted psychological weapon. The element that cemented Polybius as a full-blown conspiracy, rather than just a creepy story, was the existence of the supposed Men in Black. According to the urban legend, these shadowy federal agents would regularly visit the arcade locations, not just to collect coins, but to record data on the children playing the game. Then, just as quickly as Polybius appeared, the Men in Black removed all the cabinets without a trace, ensuring no evidence remained. This is where the first real understanding of how gaming myths work becomes clear. The Polybius narrative successfully weaponized real, documented, analog-era anxieties about technology, youth, and government overreach. The myth was not created in a vacuum. In 1981, Portland had two real incidents where residents became ill while playing games in arcades. Just 10 days later, the FBI conducted highly publicized raids on multiple Portland arcades, though they were searching for illegally converted gambling machines, not mind-controlled devices. Furthermore, parents were publicly expressing concern that the new wave of video game arcades could be dangerous, and there were genuine reports of epileptic seizures and even one death linked to another game, Berserk, fueling rumors of cursed cabinets. Polybius didn't invent the panic. It provided a neat, terrifying narrative container for the existing cultural panic, acting as a mythological bridge between the fear of physical delinquency and the fear of digital manipulation. For decades, the story persisted, fueled by the lack of evidence. But the true trail of breadcrumbs leads not to a secret underground government lab, but to a computer screen in the late 1990s. The critical turning point in the Polybius analysis revealed that the legend has absolutely no historical record from the 1980s. The earliest known online reference is a 1998 listing on coinop.org. This led investigators to conclude that the entire legend was a deliberate hoax, likely intended by the site owner to draw attention and traffic, a deeply meta conspiracy born not from government secrecy, but from early internet marketing tactics. This realization transformed Polybius from a sinister government plot to a masterful piece of participatory fiction. The individuals claiming to have seen the machine may have conflated it with memories of genuine but unusual titles from the period, such as Tempest or CubeQuest. Ultimately, the lie of Polybius is a fantastic illustration of how powerful myths become when they successfully package legitimate cultural fears with a plausible, if fictional, explanation for the absence of physical proof. Drop your wildest theory in the comments. What actual boring government project was Polybius hiding? Hint, it was probably paperwork. As technology advanced and the internet matured, the nature of gaming horror shifted from physical analog anxiety to digital, self-referential dread. The prime example of this evolution is the Lavender Town Syndrome, LTS, rooted in the original 1996 Pokémon Red and Green games. Lavender Town, known for its solemn, unnerving atmosphere, featured background music that immediately unsettled players. The conspiracy asserts that the high-pitched tones present in the original Japanese soundtrack contained frequencies audible only to young children, and that listening to these tones caused hundreds of Japanese players to develop severe psychological issues, culminating in headaches, migraines, and most sensationally, mass suicides. Later, versions of the story emerged claiming the tone utilized missing frequencies that caused death upon reconstruction. The premise is chilling, a children's game secretly harboring a fatal sonic weapon. The critical analysis here is that LTS is in fact a fictional story, a creepypasta, that gained traction in the 2010s. It did not happen in 1996. The track was creepy, but the resulting mass psychological damage is purely fictional. This highlights a fundamental difference between older and newer gaming conspiracies, the sophisticated narrative structure of the creepypasta era. Older myths, like Polybius, relied on the inability to find evidence. The MIB took it. Newer myths, like LTS, actively cite non-existent or fabricated evidence. Creepypastas are collective stories based on a complex set of sources or clues, where fictitious documents cited in one story, like the concept of the missing frequencies, are materially created in another by the fan community. This is participatory digital folklore. The audience is no longer just looking for the truth, they are collaborating to construct the lie. The superposition of these fabricated elements makes the conspiracy harder to definitively debunk, because the evidence, fan-made audio recreations, fake developer memos, is constantly evolving and self-referential. The creepypasta movement has gifted us many other enduring digital specters, often born from similarly collaborative storytelling efforts. We see this in figures like Sonic.Exit, an allegedly haunted version of the friendly blue hedgehog that features bloodied eyes and a malicious entity, and the famous Ben Drowned saga, a sophisticated story involving a haunted Zelda Majora's Mask cartridge and a spectral entity. While these myths are often clearly fictional from the start, their influence is undeniable, demonstrating the community's voracious appetite for horror rooted in the corruption of beloved childhood media. Not all urban legends are dark. Some are just profoundly goofy. Enter the secret cow dimension from the original Diablo, 1996. Early players believed that if they clicked on a specific cow in the town of Tristram a certain number of times, it would unlock a hidden level populated entirely by anthropomorphic weapon-wielding cow enemies. The brilliance of this myth lies in its ultimate destination. While the rumor was false for the original Diablo, it gained such cultural ubiquity that it became an unignorable community demand. Blizzard, recognizing the widespread appeal, not only implemented the secret cow level in Diablo 2, but also referenced the myth in subsequent releases such as StarCraft. This example serves as a crucial case study in what one might call myth as free market research. When a rumor gains immense traction, developers often use that persistent unrequested feature demand as data. By transforming the falsehood into canon, Blizzard leveraged the community's persistent rumor mill as free, high-engagement R&D, setting a precedent for how developers today acknowledge and celebrate fan-driven lore. If the cow level reflects community ingenuity, the legendary Lara Croft nude code reflects pure, unadulterated 90s gaming immaturity. The rumor stated that through some arcane combination of button presses and joystick wiggling in the original Tomb Raider, players could make gaming's leading lady remove her clothes. Look, we were weird, hormonal teenagers, okay? We've all grown up. Mostly. The fact remains that no such code ever existed in the game. However, the myth was prominent enough to catch the attention of core design. They responded not by ignoring the fanbase, but by subtly acknowledging and perhaps judging them. In the game's sequel, the developers included a sassy response to the constant demands and rumors, a moment of corporate snark that signaled to the fanbase, "We hear you, and we find this slightly pathetic." This stands in contrast to the cow-level acceptance. Some myths are embraced, and others are simply waved off with a touch of developer disdain. No discussion of gaming myths is complete without addressing Minecraft's most iconic, enduring piece of non-existent lore, Herobrine. Herobrine is essentially the demonic, supernatural brother of the default player skin, Steve, distinguishable only by his chilling, glowing white eyes that have no pupils. The myth posits that Herobrine is an enigmatic figure that secretly lurks in players' single-player worlds. Unlike ordinary mobs, he is intelligent and malevolent. Alleged sightings describe his behavior as unnerving, observing the player from a distance, initiating subtle acts of malicious mischief, or creating strange, unnatural structures like 2x2 tunnels, sand pyramids, and perfectly placed stone paths. These strange encounters, often documented on early online forums and live streams like the recreated Copeland stream, solidified the idea that a hidden, supernatural figure was actively stalking players. The endurance of Herobrine comes down to what we can analyze as the ghost of minimalist design. Minecraft is fundamentally a game built on blocky randomness and immense open-world possibility. It lacks traditional narrative context or established lore, which provides a perfect psychological canvas for the audience. The human mind seeks malicious intent in randomness, a phenomenon known as apophenia. When players encounter subtle glitches, rendering errors, or unusually generated environments, say a patch of gravel that looks like it was artificially placed, they interpret it as purposeful and hostile. Herobrine is the narrative fulfillment of the code's silence. He exists because players need a reason for the things that go bump in the night. The myth grew not out of a deliberately hidden secret, but out of community misinterpretation of the game's chaotic world generation, proving that when developers don't provide a story, the players will inevitably create a terrifying one to fill the void. Despite numerous developer confirmations that Herobrine has never been included in the base game code, the legend persists, thriving today through dedicated fan-made servers such as mc.herobrine.org and popular mods like From the Fog. They say he's not real. They say he's just code. But if he's not real, why do we keep looking over our digital shoulder?
Moving away from hidden code and ghosts, some of the most compelling conspiracies are purely interpretive. They challenge the very reality of the game's narrative. Few theories are as iconic or as aggressively debated as the Squall is dead theory from Final Fantasy VIII. The core premise is brutal and specific. At the end of Disc 1, protagonist Squall Leonhardt and his friends face the sorceress Edea. After the fight, Edea conjures an enormous shard of ice and propels it directly through Squall's chest. Squall stumbles back, falls off the platform, and closes his eyes. The theory posits that Squall dies right there, and the entire remaining game time, Discs 2, 3, and 4, and most of the ending movie, is nothing more than a fantastical, drawn-out dying dream. The evidence cited for this theory is entirely metatextual and subjective, relying on narrative shifts and plot convolutions. Proponents argue that the subsequent 75% of the game suddenly shifts to bizarre, surreal plot points that feel like dream logic. This includes the sudden introduction of time travel, extreme memory compression, the revelation that all the main characters grew up together in an orphanage, and most notably Squall's radical personality shift. The angsty, reserved, deeply awkward teen who dominates Disc 1 suddenly becomes a confident, competent, and beloved leader in Disc 2. A transformation far too clean and fast for a real person, but perfectly acceptable for a dying brain attempting to impose order and wish fulfillment before slipping away. This narrative phenomenon shares deep roots with real-world pop culture conspiracies. It is impossible to analyze Squall is dead without drawing the connection to the famous Paul is dead theory concerning Paul McCartney. Both rely on finding symbolic clues in the text, whether it's reversing a track like Revolution 9 to hear cryptic messages or debating the significance of the number 8 versus 9 in the Final Fantasy series. The widespread adoption of this theory speaks to a common critical tendency, the desire for meaningful tragedy. Many players found the narrative of Final Fantasy VIII convoluted, confusing, or simply poorly structured after the early discs. By imposing the dying dream trope, players attempt to transform a convoluted story into a profound existential tragedy. This process, analyzing the narrative architecture of the game to uncover a hidden, deeper meaning, demonstrates the audience's commitment to creating better meaning than the creators might have intended, elevating the emotional stakes of the entire experience. If the Chiliad Mystery shows us a puzzle that was solved, the G-Man from the Half-Life series represents the perfect counterpoint, the mystery that the developers will likely never resolve, and that is fundamentally okay. The G-Man is the mysterious bureaucrat in the ill-fitting blue suit who constantly appears at impossible moments throughout Gordon Freeman's journey, observing, manipulating, and interfering with events. He possesses an array of terrifying, non-human abilities. He can seemingly stop time, appear on unplugged televisions, move unnoticed through hostile environments, and speaks with an unnerving, elongated hiss. All we know for certain is that he works for powerful, unseen employers who consider Gordon Freeman a valuable asset. The Nihilanth in the original Half-Life even refers to him as not human, confirming his extra-dimensional status. The decades-long lack of a definitive answer has given rise to countless theories, each with supporting data points that make them frustratingly plausible. The temporal agent. This theory suggests he is a man from the future, perhaps even an older future version of Gordon Freeman himself, manipulating the past to avert an even worse catastrophe. The extra-dimensional entity. Based on his non-human characteristics and his reality-bending powers, he could be an alien or even a divine, all-powerful entity far larger than the Combine. The Government Man. While the acronym G-Man initially suggested Government Man, the appearance of the Combine alien government in Half-Life 2 complicates this. If he works for a government, it must be an interdimensional or pre-Combine one. The enduring power of the G-Man is that the answer simply does not matter. The fun is in the speculation, in scrambling to find those subtle clues and piecing together a solution in our own heads. From a corporate standpoint, Valve's decision to maintain this ambiguity is an unparalleled content retention strategy. By refusing to provide narrative closure, they ensure continuous community conversation, endless YouTube theory videos, and sustained hype for non-existent sequels,
Or, in the case of Half-Life Alyx, a massive return to the narrative. The G-Man's ambiguity is the core product that feeds the ecosystem of fan analysis. He represents the cosmic horror inherent in the Half-Life universe, a reminder that humanity is merely a pawn in a game played by incomprehensibly vast forces, and we don't need to know the identity of the player to feel the existential dread. Now let's return to the big one, Mount Chiliad. The infamous cable car station mural in GTA V has been the holy grail of modern gaming mysteries since 2013. The mural features the mountain cross-section illustrating three key symbols: the UFO at the top, the jetpack in the middle, and the cracked egg at the bottom, all connected by various lines and 5 X marks. The search was exhaustive. Players calculated angles, deciphered code hidden in graffiti, and performed complex, ritualistic activation attempts based on theories about Nikola Tesla, whose favorite number was 3, aligning with the 3 symbols and 3 protagonists. The search consumed a decade of effort, leading people to stand on the peak at 3 a.m. during a storm, dressed in specific clothes, performing maneuvers that would make a performance artist blush. People spent more time analyzing this virtual graffiti than Congress spends analyzing tax laws. The latest, most comprehensive community-backed theory, which many consider the definitive solution, suggests the mural is a complex metaphor for the game's protagonists and the requirements for total story completion. This means the developers intentionally designed a puzzle that didn't hide a physical object, but rather conveyed a narrative secret. Let's break down the meta-textual justice achieved by this conclusion. The UFO, Michael, represents the dead or non-existent status. Michael is the character who faked his own death and went into hiding, mirroring the transient, unconfirmable nature of a UFO sighting. The jetpack, Trevor, represents Trevor's established background as a military pilot. The jetpack symbolizes his past life and ability to fly, making it a symbolic nod to his identity, not a physical item waiting to be found. The cracked egg, Franklin, represents the newborn criminal who is still developing. Crucially, the cracked egg has the clearest, most direct path to the all-seeing eye, the final UFO sighting, symbolizing that Franklin is the only character who must survive the game's final mission, guaranteeing his rise to 100% completion. The 5 X marks are not physical locations, but symbolic representations of the 5 requirements for 100% game completion: main story missions, strangers and freaks, hobbies and pastimes, miscellaneous activities, and random events. The key revelation here is that the mystery was a developer-created Gordian knot. The fact that the solution required 100% completion and was heavily metaphorical demonstrates that Rockstar's intent was not to hide a tangible item, but to incentivize exhaustive exploration and, critically, myth creation. The decade-long obsession wasn't a failure to solve the puzzle, it was the ultimate fulfillment of the developer's most successful game design philosophy. The ultimate reward, the rare UFO sighting that only occurs after 100% completion during a thunderstorm, was therefore locked behind the narrative journey itself. The conspiracy, once solved, transforms into a profound commentary on the obsessive nature of the gamer. The reward was the journey and the completion of the narrative, not a secret piece of hardware. We have traveled through the mind-controlling arcades of the Cold War, the psychological warfare of digital horror, the goofy responses of 90s developers, and finally reached the deeply meta conclusion of the greatest modern gaming conspiracy. Why do we bother? Why dedicate years of our lives to finding a non-existent jetpack or figuring out the true nature of a pale-eyed digital ghost? The enduring power of the video game mystery lies in the fundamental human drive for discovery. Gamers, much like scientists, historians, or detectives, feel an innate compulsion to solve puzzles, uncover secrets, and bring hidden information to light. Developers who include these hidden complexities, these Gordian knots, are appealing to the highest intellectual instincts of their audience. The satisfaction derived from the search, the collaborative effort of the community, and the process of reasoning often provide a deeper and more profound reward than the eventual answer itself. This drive to discern patterns and underlying order, even in a chaotic fictional game world, taps into a universal truth that seeking knowledge and understanding the structure of creation is inherently fulfilling. When we observe this universal appeal, we recognize that the pursuit of truth and understanding, regardless of the medium, reflects a powerful, innate human desire for wisdom and discernment. Whether we are analyzing the code of Minecraft or the symbolic meaning of a mural in GTA 5, we are searching out what is concealed, striving for the wisdom that comes from uncovering the unknown. There is a profound concept expressed in ancient texts that validates this relentless search for underlying truth. It posits that the very act of concealment and discovery is part of a grand design empowering the seeker. The glory of a creator can be seen in the design and structure they hide, but the true glory of a leader, a king, or in our case, a dedicated gamer, lies in the intense pursuit of that hidden structure. This is why, stuffers, we will never stop looking, because it is in the searching that we find our purpose. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 2. It is the glory of God to conceal things, but the glory of kings is to search things out. Okay, thanks for watching. Peace out. Goodbye, guys.